Think 1,000-Pound Sisters is making how is entertainment value affected? In the sprawling, often chaotic universe of reality television, TLC's 1,000-Pound Sisters emerged not just as a show, but as a phenomenon. It broke the mold of the standard weight loss narrative by centering on the uniquely raw, unfiltered, and darkly comedic bond between Amy and Tammy Slaton. For its first few seasons, the show was a masterclass in authentic storytelling, balancing the sisters' monumental health struggles with their undeniable, if messy, charisma. We cheered for them, we cried with them, and we were captivated by their journey. But a show, like its subjects, can hit a plateau. After several seasons, a perceptible shift has occurred. The initial compelling narrative of transformation is threatening to curdle into a repetitive cycle of drama for drama's sake. The very elements that once made it a groundbreaking hit are now being mismanaged, risking the long-term health of the series itself. The entertainment value isn't just changing, it's being diluted by a series of critical production mistakes. Here are 6 missteps I believe are holding 1,000-Pound Sisters back from its full potential. 1. The over-reliance on manufactured, petty conflict. In the early days, the conflict on 1,000-Pound Sisters felt organic. The tension between Amy's enabling and Tammy's defiance was rooted in a deep, complicated, and very real sisterly dynamic. It was painful, but it was authentic. Now, too often, the drama feels contrived and petty. We see this in storylines that revolve around minor social media slights, exaggerated disagreements over childcare, or rehashed arguments about who is working harder. An entire scene might be dedicated to bickering over a forgotten grocery item or a misinterpreted text message. This is a classic reality TV trap. When the core journey stalls, production fills the vacuum with low-stakes bickering. How it affects entertainment value. The initial entertainment value was in the high-stakes, emotional warfare of two sisters fighting for their lives, sometimes with and sometimes against each other. That was compelling, Shakespearean, even in its tragedy. Petty bickering is not. It transforms the Slatons from complex, sympathetic figures into stereotypical reality TV caricatures. The audience's intelligence is insulted, and the emotional resonance that hooked viewers in the first place begins to fade, replaced by a wearying sense of déjà vu. 2. The neglect of nuanced, individual journeys. Amy and Tammy are two distinct people on two separate paths, yet the show often flattens them into a single, monolithic unit of the sisters. Amy's post-weight loss surgery journey has been fraught with its own challenges, the pressures of motherhood, her own weight regain, and the struggle to maintain a healthy relationship. These are rich, unexplored territories. Instead, her narrative is frequently reduced to being the responsible one or the frustrated sister. Similarly, since Tammy's incredible weight loss and marriage to Caleb, her story has become dominated by her relationship. While her romance was a beautiful development, what about her individual psychological journey? The show touches on it, but rarely delves deep into her process of rebuilding an identity not centered on her weight or her defiance. How is she handling her newfound independence? What are her personal goals beyond being a wife? How it affects entertainment value? By failing to flesh out their individual arcs, the show is wasting its most valuable assets, its protagonists. We are starved for deeper content. A deeper dive into Amy's mental health or Tammy's internal world would be far more entertaining than another group argument at a family barbecue. It would add layers to the characters, making their successes sweeter and their setbacks more meaningful. Without this nuance, their stories feel one-dimensional and incomplete. 3. The introduction of underdeveloped supporting characters. The Slaton family ecosystem has always been part of the show's charm. However, as the series progresses, the circle has widened to include a rotating cast of friends and partners who often feel like narrative tools rather than fully realized people. The handling of Caleb, Tammy's late husband, is a poignant example. His introduction was dramatic and emotional, but his integration into the show often felt peripheral, his own story and personality remaining largely in the background until his tragic passing. Other friends and acquaintances are introduced seemingly for the sole purpose of stirring the pot or providing a temporary conflict before disappearing without a trace. They are plot devices, not people. How it affects entertainment value. This creates a disjointed and sometimes exploitative viewing experience. When supporting characters lack depth, their conflicts with the main cast feel hollow and manufactured. The audience doesn't invest in them, so the drama they generate is transient and forgettable. It cheapens the overall narrative, making the world of 1,000 Pound Sisters feel less like a documentary about a real family and more like a staged play with under-rehearsed understudies. For the formulaic story structure, watch any episode from the last 2 seasons and a predictable pattern emerges. 1. Cold open. A lighthearted/funny scene, often involving the sisters bantering. 2. Problem is introduced Amy is stressed about the kids. 3. Problem B is introduced Tammy is frustrated with her progress. 4. A family gathering where problems A and B collide, leading to an argument. 5. A semi-resolution or cliffhanger, often involving a doctor's appointment or a decision to do better. This rigid formula is becoming increasingly transparent. The magic of the early seasons was their unpredictability. We never knew if a doctor's visit would bring devastating news or triumphant victory. Now, the beats of each episode feel preordained, sucking the spontaneity and genuine surprise out of the viewing experience. How it affects entertainment value. Formula is the enemy of suspense. When viewers can accurately predict the rhythm of an episode, engagement wanes. The show risks becoming background noise, something to have on while scrolling on your phone, rather than a must-watch event. The raw, unscripted feeling that was its hallmark is replaced by a safe, corporate predictability that is the antithesis of compelling entertainment. 5. The glossing over of serious, real-world consequences. The Slatons' lives are, by their nature, entangled with serious issues: food addiction, generational trauma, financial instability, and significant health crises. The show sometimes shies away from the grim reality of these topics in favor of more palatable drama. For instance, the financial ramifications of their lives are rarely explored in depth. How does Amy support her family? What are the real costs of Tammy's care? Furthermore, the psychological underpinnings of their addiction are often mentioned but seldom investigated with the gravity they deserve. The complex grief following Caleb's death, while handled with care at times, also had to be balanced with the ongoing production schedule, a difficult tightrope to walk. How it affects entertainment value. This avoidance creates a narrative dissonance. We are asked to invest in a story about life and death health struggles, but the show occasionally pulls its punches, afraid to sit in the uncomfortable silence of true consequence. Embracing the darker, more complex realities would actually enhance the entertainment value by elevating the stakes. It would make their triumphs feel earned and their struggles profoundly human, rather than just another storyline to be resolved by the end of the hour. 6. The danger of exploiting trauma without sufficient redemption. At its heart, 1,000 Pound Sisters is a show about trauma, physical, emotional, and psychological. The early seasons worked because the narrative arc was pointed toward healing and redemption. The trauma was the obstacle, not the premise. Lately, there is a sense that the cameras are content to simply observe the cyclical nature of the sisters' struggles without providing a clear, forward-moving narrative of growth. When a show documents trauma repeatedly without showing a meaningful path through it, it crosses the line from documentary to exploitation. Are we watching Amy's struggles with parenting and weight regain to understand her journey, or simply to gawk at her difficulties? Are we following Tammy's marital life to celebrate her growth or to mine it for conflict? How it affects entertainment value. This is the most critical mistake, as it attacks the very soul of the show. The initial entertainment value was rooted in hope. We watched because we believed in their ability to change. If that hope is replaced by a cynical portrayal of a never-ending struggle, the show becomes a depressing spectacle. Audiences will eventually turn away, not out of boredom, but out of a sense of ethical discomfort. The entertainment becomes tinged with guilt. A crossroads for the sisters. 1,000-Pound Sisters stands at a creative crossroads. It possesses two of the most genuinely unique personalities reality TV has ever seen. The solution is not to abandon the show, but to demand more from it. The producers must trust that the audience is sophisticated enough to handle deeper, messier, and more nuanced storytelling. The entertainment value of 1,000-Pound Sisters was never solely in the number on the scale. It was in the profound, messy, and resilient humanity of Amy and Tammy Slaton. By refocusing on their individual journeys, embracing complexity over contrivance, and trading formula for authenticity, the show can step off the plateau and rediscover the revolutionary heart that made us all tune in to begin with. The choice is simple: evolve with its subjects, or risk becoming just another number on the vast scale of forgotten reality TV.